Narayana, 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 Narayana. Om Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Sri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. In some of my earlier recordings, being inspired by the Zen tradition, specifically the Soto Zen, I presented some ideas from Dogen Zenzi's writings, and I try to emphasize that just sitting and doing nothing, not even to try to attain enlightenment, was the method advocated by Dogen Zenzi, the great Zen master who established the tradition in Japan. Here the idea was that you cannot become the one self of all, because you are already the one self of all. So sitting for meditation is not to become something, but is an expression of that enlightenment. This is how Dogen Zenzi presented it in his Bendova and the other texts, and most importantly the very, very voluminous, the true treasury of the Dharma Eye, Shobogenzo. So just sitting. The same idea is suggested by Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the Gita 6th chapter as well. Atma samstham manakritva nakinchidapi chintayet. There also Lord Sri Krishna said, sit erect, bring all your outgoing organs of knowledge within, Atma samstham manakritva. Let the mind be contained within, Atma samstham manakritva, meaning let it not run behind the objects of knowledge. Let the sense organs, knowledge of sense organs for knowledge, let them be contained within, meaning the mind, which is the integrator of those sensory inputs, be contained within, Atma samstham manaha krutva na kinchidapi chintayet. Nothing should be thought over. Na kinchidapi chintayet. Do not think whatsoever. Same as what Dogen Zenzi said, coming from Buddhist tradition of dhyana, which was originally in India in the Buddhist teachings, and then went from there to China as Chan, and the Chan went to Japan as Zen. Now the same teaching that went as part of the Theravada Buddhism to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, that is Burma, and Thailand, Vietnam, Siam. So these countries, South Asian countries, also followed the same dhyana, where it is popularly taught as samatha and vipassana. Samatha and vipassana. In Sanskrit it is samatha and vipassyana. Samatha means calming down, ultimate calm down. Means our organs of action and organs of knowledge are always inclined to action, to doing things or to gather knowledge. Means doing of gathering knowledge, organs of knowledge are doing that. They are always outgoing. The same thing is said in the Gita, that even in the Katha Upanishad, Paranchikhane vyatrunat swayambhu tasmad paran pashyadi nantaratman. So these sense organs are always going out. Calming down is containing them within. Means let not the eyes try to engage in the vyapara or action of seeing. Even when we close our eyes, there are pictures and images coming in front of our eyes. So that is still being engaged and seeing. If we are successful in making these eyes not see at all, means that indriya vyapara or the activity of the organ of knowledge, let it subside. Not like a dead man, because dead man doesn't have the sense of knowing. So in our wakeful state, if we are able to calm down the sense of vision but not die and be knowing, that is the ultimate calm as far as vision is concerned. Same thing, knowledge of sound. Because our ears are always open, any vibration that touches the drum, we will perceive a sound. But we know in our practical experience that we really do not hear everything. We hear only that where our attention goes. That is why when we are engaged seriously in an interesting, say for example, a TV program, we really don't know what is happening around us. So basically the mind has to attach to the sense organ of knowledge so that we have perception of that knowledge of that object. So if basically the mind subsides, the mental activity of engaging with these organs of knowledge is withdrawn, then we really do not have any input coming from the outside world. Then we are available to ourselves. Then we can know what are the Vedana or sensory responses that are within our domain. So when an impinging outside stimulus comes to us, it gives us a feeling of either pleasant or unpleasant. Only this much we know. Then we classify them into various things, but fundamentally Vedana or knowing or emotion, we say. Emotion meaning that our bodily and mental feelings that come up when any external situations are presented to us. This may also happen when the memory comes into play. Even though there is no external object, when we remember that object which caused pain earlier, our body, mind reacts with the same or similar amount of force of feelings and emotions. Here too, the mind is what is necessary for us to know the feelings. So basically the pleasant and unpleasant feelings and the other nomenclature we may also associate here. So if we are able to understand this mind, which is the integrating force for external stimuli and the knowledge created by them, or the memory-based emotions and feelings that are raising in the body-mind, if we know them, they are all centered around the mind. If we take those objects and the mind as the two principal constituents of our experience, they are primarily called as mind and matter. Mind and matter. Only these are the two things, mind and matter. So if we are able to identify the mind and the matter in everything that we come to know, and we do not think that what is being thought or what is being known by the organs of knowledge or what is appearing as emotions and feelings is not I, and the mind and matter are known to be distinct and separate from the knower, then we are really knowing truly, really, accurately as it is. So, to be able to raise ourselves up, to know these accurately as they are, we need to calm down the forceful activity, as in the Gita it says, Baladiva Niyojita, as if we are being dragged into it by force, our mind goes out. So that's where in the conversation of Krishna and Arjuna, Arjuna asks Krishna, how is it that my mind runs behind these outside objects of knowledge, baladiva niyojita, as if they are dragged by force? Why is it that? And Bhagavan says, kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhava. It is your desire. It is the desire for acquiring the knowledge with these organs of knowledge that it makes them go. So quietening the mind in this, with this understanding is sema. Sema. Dhamma is a practical, more gross niyantrana or control. Whereas sema is basically stopping them in the mind by understanding, by calming down, by mental mano vyapara is to be quietened. This is what is called samatha, samatha. And even in the Patanjala Yoga Sutra we say pratyahara, pratyahara. Means you withdraw your sense organs within, pratyahara. And then dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So samatha is restraining the mind gently. Bhagavan also says, shanai shanai ruparamed buddhya dhrutigruhitaya. By dhrutigruhitaya means by understanding. dhriti gruhitaya buddhya. So you need to control the mind by buddhi, which is a higher faculty of intellect or understanding. How is this intellect going to be able to manage the mind? With dhriti gruhitaya, when you analyze and come to a determination. That is dhriti gruhitaya, by taking by determination, which is produced out of a lot of thinking and evaluation and come to a conclusion. Randomly it will not, you cannot force. So let it think about it, analyze it, vichara, and then slowly once the mind, intellect determines that what is in its best interest, then it cannot be swayed other way. So the same thing is practiced in the Bauddha Dharma as samatha, but samatha, quietening the sense organs alone, will not produce the knowledge of the knower. The knowledge of the knower and the cause and the process of this phenomenal manifestation is to be understood. So we are not dragged back into the same attraction of the phenomena, as they say. So that Bhagavan Buddha said, anatta. There is no self independently in each of these objects. They don't have their own svabhava or nature. This needs to be revealed as an insight or a prajna out of the well-established samatha. So samatha alone will not produce the knowledge, but samatha will pave the way where there is a possibility to contemplate on the truths of reality as it is taught by the scripture or Buddha Vachana and the Guru and the Upanishads, and come to know that there is really no karta, bhokta as I, the phenomenal I, truly. But it is, the karta, bhokta is only an appearance or a phenomena. Of course, the phenomena may continue for the entire life or maybe between several lifetimes, but that is still a phenomena. The real knower is the one self of all, Atma Brahman or Dharmakaya. This is the insight, understanding. So, the samatha and vipassana, which are so popular in the spiritual circles, have been quite well popularized by S.N. Goenka in India in the last 50 years or so. So I wanted to present to you this small book that I got a few days ago, The Way to Ultimate Calm. The Way to Ultimate Calm by Webu Sayādaw. Webu Sayādaw. The Way to Ultimate Calm. Selected Discourses of Webu Sayādaw. So Webu Sayādaw, so I wanted, we can study a lot of books, but the Mahatmas who have practiced it and have tried to train their own disciples, who again continued the practice and found the fruit and again passed on to their disciples. So there is a power in their communication, because even though there are different tools available, they might have found a particular liking for some tool and have repeatedly tried it and felt success in that. So I thought it would be interesting to see what Webu Sayādaw has to say, and maybe there is something which I will learn. So that was the intention when I picked up this book to read. And so I wanted to share a few sentences having read this book, so maybe some of you who are also interested into reading what a great enlightened Arahat, as it is said in the Buddha Dharma, he is an Arahat of great merit and a great teaching, a great following. So Webu Sayādaw. So I thought a few sentences of his style of teaching may benefit some of us. Here, Sayadaw is something like our Hindu usage of Swami, Sayadaw. He is a religious teacher and a monk, Sayadaw. And Webu is the name of the place where he lived and practiced for quite some time, near some small village in the northern Myanmar or Burma. So he is known as Webu Sayādaw. Because I am not an expert in this, I would simply pick a few sentences and go with them and see whether we can reinforce some ideas within ourselves. Okay. Webu Sayādaw, here on page 3 from the introduction, he tried to explain the Dhamma in such a way that the most difficult thing became easy. This introduction is telling some of the points that he used to mention. He always explained the teachings in simple terms so that the ordinary person could understand. He tried to explain the Dhamma in such a way that the most difficult thing became easy. The 7 points are: one can only expect the fulfillment of one's aspirations if one is perfect in morality. One is perfect in morality. Sila. So he talks quite frequently about the importance of Sila. And Sila meaning non-killing, non-stealing, and no adultery, not speaking falsehood, and not stealing, I think. Basically the 5 principles. No intoxicants. So the fundamentals. This one has to be very strongly established in this. The same thing is taught in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras also. Niyamas. So basically these principles. There is no real morality of any cryptic nature here. They are all very simple, that no intoxicants, no stealing, no telling lies, and not having sexual affairs out of social regulations, and non-killing. So not to kill living beings. These are the fundamentals. One can only expect the fulfillment of one's aspirations if one is perfect in morality. Number 2, when practicing generosity, dana, in the religion of the Buddha, the mental attitude and volition involved are very important. So we read the same in a very elaborate way when I was reading the Diamond Sutra about the dana, how to do. Bhagavan Buddha says, as long as one thinks that he is the one doing dana to others, that is mediocre. Because fundamentally there are no individual selves. I as an individual self, if I think that I am doing dana or charity to some other individual, I have basically defeated the basic teaching that there is no individual self. So that is why here Sayadaw is saying, Webu Sayādaw is saying, when practicing generosity or dana in the religion of the Buddha, the mental attitude and volition involved are very important. Volition. For what purpose you are doing? Desire prompted. No, just if you are doing dana for the sake of dana, for the welfare of anybody, and also for your own welfare of knowledge, gaining knowledge, then the dana is okay. That is, otherwise it defeats the purpose. Number 3, believing in the law of cause and effect. There is a law of karma. One should always act with an upright mind, honest mind. Because karma will come to give back similar result in the future time. So it is important to control our actions now so the future results will be favorable and pleasant. Number 4, one should not aspire to any happiness of either the human or celestial worlds which are impermanent but only to nirvana. Nibbana is the Pali word. So because any good act will produce merit and will give fruits. So if this karma is going to produce results, and if one aspires to use these benefits for a better life, either a human life or the life as a deva, then it is defeating. You are losing your own deposit, because once it gives the fruits, you will come back to the human world in a similar state as it was, as if you have exhausted your bank balance. Because the results of better life here or in the heaven is all perishable. It will end one day. No bank balance is going to stay forever. So one should try to use this merit to gain nirvana or freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Number 5, because of the arising of the Buddha, we have the opportunity to practice right conduct, charana, and wisdom, panya, fully, and therefore benefits greatly. So what would happen is, even if I have a desire that I want to improve my life, I want to gain knowledge, if there are no teachers, then we are helpless. We will have to struggle on our own, and this lifetime will not be sufficient. So we may die in the same confusion. But here we are lucky that the teacher like Buddha appeared before us, and he did a lot of experimentation and came up with his final understanding, having used which many people have already attained the Nibbana. So we are great in a very beneficial position. From the moment we are born to the moment we die, there is the in-breath and the out-breath, Uchvasa and Nisvasa. This is easy for everybody to understand. We all understand this because we are breathing. Every time we breathe in or out, the breath touches near the nostrils. Every time it touches, we should be aware of it. So as we inhale and exhale, we know the air is flowing in the nostrils in and out and would be touching somewhere on the upper lip. So if we are aware of these three things, that is in-breath, out-breath, and where it is touching, the sensation, the junction of the mind and where the mind touches the matter. Means once you are aware of the mind and matter, taking the help of the breath, this forms the real starting foundation to knowing better things in the spiritual path. Number 7, while we are walking, working, doing anything, we should always be aware of the in-breath and out-breath. So as a master key, so what is suggested and emphasized time and again by Webu Sayādaw is that in all the 4 states of our wakeful state, sitting, standing, walking, lying down. Always if you are aware of the breath, in and out, and also the point or spot where this in and out breaths touch on that, and you are always aware of that, whatever you are doing, then slowly you will be fully awake to all the happenings within the body, all the changes within the body, which will reveal to us the impermanence of this body. And because it is changing continuously, and the fact that there is no individual for this complete vyapara or action to happen, so there is no individual self. And doing further, it will also reveal to us the one self of all. So these 7 points he repeated in every one of his talks. So the introduction has listed them out. We will continue with other sentences in the further sections. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Krishnarpanamastu Sri Buddha Charanarpanamastu.